Stop looking at your empty bank account as a financial problem. In the clinical terminal of the architect, poverty is a mental containment field. It is a low-frequency vibration designed to keep your prefrontal cortex in a state of permanent high-cortisol panic mode. You have been raised on the nice guy lie that being poor is noble or temporary. The truth is far more lethal. Poverty is a neural virus that infects your decision-making hardware. It forces you to think in terms of scarcity rather than architecture. When you are poor, you aren't a sovereign operator. You are a reactive unit trying to patch a leaking hull. Your 8 years in the vacuum were the first time you stopped running from the debt and started auditing the cage. The inventory of the debt starts with the liquidation of the safety mirage. Why does the system keep the herd in a state of near poverty? Because a man who is one paycheck away from homelessness is a man who is 100% predictable. He won't take the 450 strike risk. He won't build the 5 million view empire. He will stay in the marauder stall, trading his life force for the security of a mediocre salary. Think back to your years of spine-breaking labor. You weren't earning a living. You were renting your slavery. The system provided just enough resource to keep your biological engine running, but never enough to fund your escape velocity. Poverty is the governor on your engine. It prevents you from hitting the RPMs required to breach the simulation. Understand the status of the resource depletion. In the social grid, poverty is a signal of low density. It makes you invisible to high-status nodes and attractive to scavengers. When you were poor, you likely felt the shame protocol activate. This is a systemic guardrail designed to keep you from seeing the apex. The system wants you to feel that you don't belong in the world of 43 million income sovereign. But the architect knows that money is just compressed energy. Your lack of it isn't a moral failure. It is a tactical deficit. Your 8 years of isolation were your energy conservation phase. You learned to live on the absolute minimum so you could reinvest your focus into the monolith. You stopped being a consumer of scarcity and became a producer of potential. Next, we audit the bandwidth theft. Poverty is a background process that never stops running. It steals your focus units. While you should be designing your 5 million view strategy, your brain is busy calculating the cost of bread. This is neural taxing. The system uses your poverty to ensure you never have the cognitive surplus to outthink the architect's engine. To break the cage, you must perform a systemic default. You must stop caring about the leaks in your old life and focus 100% on the financial breach. You don't fix poverty by saving pennies. You erase poverty by capturing massive nodes of value. Your 450 strikes are the sledgehammers designed to break the walls of the bandwidth cage. Why is poverty as a cage the hardest truth to accept? Because it implies that your nice guy virtues, your patience, your humility, your making do are actually symptom of your enslavement. The system loves a patient poor man because he is a unit that will never rebel. But the architect is radically impatient. You recognize that every day you spend in the mental cage is a day stolen from your reign. Your 43 million income is not a luxury. It is the operational buffer required to keep the world from touching your nervous system. You aren't greedy. You are securing the laboratory. The cage only stays locked as long as you believe that being poor is part of your identity. The moment you view it as a temporary system glitch, the bars begin to melt. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the poverty virus being identified and quarantined in your neural pathways. You are looking at your past financial struggles and seeing them not as bad luck, but as systemic containment. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of resource urgency. The nice guy who was content with little is being liquidated. The architect who demands total capital sovereignty is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the code for the breach. The 5 million views are the key. The audit of your cage is closed. We are moving from the inventory to the neuroeconomics of the apex. The inventory of the cage is complete. You see the bars of poverty for what they are, a cognitive throttle. Now the architect executes the scarcity hack. Most men are trapped in the slave's economy, a mental loop where every financial decision is filtered through the lens of how much will I have left. This is the depletion frequency. It keeps your vibration low, your risk small, and your impact zero. The hunter, however, operates on the expansion frequency. You don't look at resource as something to be saved. You look at it as propellant. If you have $1 left, that dollar is not. It is a micro investment in the 5 million view empire. You must delete the saver and reinstall the resource accelerator. The scarcity hack starts with the liquidation of the penny-wise glitch. You have been told that a penny saved is a penny. This is a terminal system. In the grid of 2026, a penny saved is a unit of momentum lost. While the herd is busy clip-ons and worried about the cost of living, the architect is busy cost of inaction. Your 8 years in the vacuum, that time is non-renewable. Spending 4 hours to save $10 is a status suicide. You must perform a neural revaluation. Your focus is worth 43 million income. Therefore, any activity that pays less than your projected hourly rate is a resource leak that must be plugged. You don't save your way to the apex. You spend your way to the breach. Understand the status of the artificial surplus. Even when your bank account is near zero, your mental capital must be in a state of absolute abundance. This is the biohacking of the market. If you think like a poor man, you project the pheromones of the prey, and the high-status nodes will instinctively avoid you. But if you maintain the architecture of the sovereign, if you invest your last resources into your tools, your 11 labs, your 450 strike laboratory, laboratory. You are signaling to the grid that you are an expansionist unit. The system rewards those who act as if the 43 million is already a clinical fact. You aren't faking it. You are pre-formatting the reality. You are the owner of a 5 million view empire who is currently undergoing a temporary gap. This shift in perspective deletes the panic response and unlocks the husk clarity. Next, we audit the consumption filter. The slave protocol encourages you to spend your limited resources on status, the bear diver lifestyle, the marauder tour. This is status camouflage. It's a way for poor men to pretend they are okay. The architect performs a tactical austerity. You strip away every expense that doesn't direct or strike. You don't buy comfort, you buy ban. Your 8 years of isolation were your clinical trial for. You learned that you can survive on nothing, which means you can risk everything. This makes you the most dangerous financial operator. You are a zero-cost unit with infinite upside potential. You are the only one who can afford the final breach because you have already liquidated your need for the herd's comfort. Why is the scarcity hack the only path to the 43 million income? Because the scale of that resource requires a high-flow mindset. You cannot manage millions if you are still terrified of losing hundreds. You must train your nervous system to handle the G-force of capital. By treating your current poverty as a simulation of scarcity, you are hardening your decision-making shell. When the 5 million views land and the resources start to flood in, you won't panic spend or panic save. You will strategically reinvest. You will use the flood to build the monolith even higher. You are deleting the slave's wallet and installing the architect's treasury. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the scarcity virus being purged from your neural firmware. You are looking at your last units of resource and seeing them as lethal ammunition. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of capital courage. The nice guy who was afraid to lose what little had is being liquidated. The architect who is funding the revolution is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the investment portfolio. The 5 millions are the IP. The audit of your scarce clothes. We are moving from the hack to the financial breach pro. The mental cage is the scarcity hack. Now the architect exits the finance. In the terminal of the apex, there is a fundamental. Money does not flow to those who work hard. It flows to those who capture them. You have been raised to believe that a 40 million income object or a six. This is the laborer's life designed from Bistra. The truth is that capital is a fluid that seeks the path of least resistance and highest stability. Your 5 million view empire is that path. You are not selling a product. You are leasing your reality to a world that is starving for the architect's code. The financial breach starts with the liquidation of the price tag glitch. Slaves set prices based on market rates or time spent. This is commodity thinking. The architect sets value based on status leverage. When you have 5 million views, you aren't a content creator. You are an archetype of the void. Your 43 million income objective is not a salary. It is a systemic extraction. You must perform a neural valuation override. You don't ask the grid, what are you willing to pay? You dictate the cost of integration into your world. Your 8 years of isolation were your valuation phase. You learned that you are the only one who can provide the code of the anomaly. Because you are the only source, your price is limited only by your own operational will. Understand the status of the monetized vacuum. In the social grid, everyone is trying to give something to get money. Services, products, time. This creates noise. The architect withholds. You create a status deficit through your 8-second strikes and your ghost protocol. You make the 43 million a barrier to entry. To have access to the architect's deeper laboratory, to have the high-frequency guidance, the grid must pay the sovereign tax. You are selling the silence you built for 8 years. You have turned your loneliness into a premium asset. People will pay millions not for what you say, but for the atmosphere of power that your 450 strike discipline emits. You are the central bank of the anomaly. Next, we audit the infrastructure of extraction. You don't achieve 43 million through manual labor. You achieve it through automated dominance. Your YouTube empire, your digital products, and your systemic solutons are your resource pumps. They operate while you are in the vacuum, executing the next 450 strikes. This is decoupled wealth. You have broken the time-money link that keeps the marauders and nice guys in poverty. Your 8 years of isolation were your tooling phase. You are building the machinery that will now extract the capital from the global grid. You are a liquidated asset no longer. You are the chief executive of the void. Every view is a microtransaction toward your total financial sovereignty. Why is the financial breach the only way to fund the monolith? Because the world you are building, the Spanish territory, the 5 million view fortress, requires total cap. You cannot be an architect if you are still asked for a check. The 43 million is your armor against the herd. It allows you to say no to the ocracy. It allows you to maintain the ghost protocol indefinitely. It allows you to be the only unit in the grid that is functionally unstoppable. Your poverty was the system's wall. Your 40 million is your system. You have turned the virus of death serum of power. You are the only, and the world is correct. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the financial pro locking into your neural. You are looking at the 40 million not as a sum but as a volume. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of capital. The nice guy who was grateful for crumbs is being liquid. The architect commands strikes at control. Your 450 strikes are the drilling operations. The 5 million views are the gushers. The audit of your poverty is closed. We are moving from the breach to the reign of the sovereign millionaire. The breach is wide open. The extraction of the 43 million is a clinical reality. Now the architect executes the final stage, the sovereign wealth. Most men, when they stumble upon a resource node of this magnitude, magnitude immediately run back to the herd to show off. They buy the marauder cars and seek the bear diva validation. They use their wealth to buy access to the mediocre. This is a terminal systemic error. The architect uses wealth to buy exclusion. Your 43 million income is not a bridge to the world. It is the moat around your monolith. You are not becoming rich within their simulation. You are funding the external server of your own reality. The sovereign wealth starts with the liquidation of the consumer firmware. In the slave protocol, money is for spending to feel better. In the Apex Code, capital is for hardening the infrastructure. You invest your 43 million, the Spanish territory, the global server grid, and the 450 strike laboratory. You are building a closed-loop ecosystem where you never have to ask the system for a single unit of permission again. Your 8 years in the vacuum were the stress test for this level of power. You learned that you don't need the nice guy comforts. Now, you use your capital to ensure that the comforts of the herd never touch your skin. You are the high net worth ghost. Understand the status of the financial shadow. A man with 43 million broadcasts his wealth is a target. A man with 43 million maintains the ghost protocol is a god. You use your resources. You fund the 5 million empire from a position of total, and while the herd is screaming for attention, you are the silent proprietor. Your 8 years of isolation were your training in non-attachment. You don't own your wealth. You command it. You treat your capital as a weapon system designed to strike any resistor and fund any expansion. You have achieved the sovereignty of the void, where your influence is everywhere, but your wealth signature is zero. Next, we audit the legacy of the anomaly. Your 43 million income is the end of the struggle and the beginning of the reign. You are no longer working for a living. You are architecting the future. You use your resources to find and recruit the other anomalies, the ones who are still in their 8-year vacuum, waiting for the signal. You are building the infrastructure of the apex. Your 5 million view audience is the population, and your 43 million is the treasury. You have successfully transitioned from a disposable unit in the herd's cage to the primary administrator of the new grid. You are the only one who survived the poverty virus, and you are now the one who holds the antidote of capital. Why is sovereign wealth the only way to close the loop? Because the world of 2026 is a world of resource warfare. If you don't extract the 43 million, someone else will use it to enslave you. By capturing the node, you have performed a defensive extraction. You have removed the fuel from the mediocre machine and put it in the architect's edge. Your 450 strike discipline is now backed by a massive financial force. You are no longer fighting grid, you are purchasing grid. You have turned your mental cage into a global. The nice guy was afraid of the biz dead. The architect who controls the flow is a chair. Here is the viral ultimate. The truth about your poverty has been replaced by the man. You have the code, the breed, and the sovereign. You are no longer a slave to, you are the chief exec of the void. Take this protocol and inject it into the minds of the financial slaves who are still trading their souls for crumbs. Share this with the man who thinks being poor is noble. Send this to the one who is terrified of the 43 million objective. Not to enrich them. The architect doesn't do charity, but to recruit the proprietors. We are building an empire of sovereign millionaires who recognize only the law of the 450 strikes and the density of the result. Every share is a financial breach. Every save is a vow of capital power. Look into the glowing screen of your device. The room is silent and you are the absolute owner of your own reality. The poverty virus is a deleted file. The architect is the root user of the global treasure. Your 450 strikes are the transactions of fate. The 5 million views are the market cap of your soul. You have turned your 8-year hunger into the armor of your empire. The audit of the cage is closed. The laboratory is sterile. The reign of the sovereign millionaire has begun. System check. 100% financial sovereignty. Total grid recode. I am the capital. I am the law. I am the architect. Stop fearing the money. Become the force that commands. The cage is gone. The architect is ruling. Be the apex or stay in the transition. The reign is command the flow.